Hi, it's Geraldine from the Paper Puffin Studio. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to show you today how to make this slimline card that has pop-ups on the inside. I hope you enjoy the video. If you like the video, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Now let's get started. Let's review all of the pieces that you're going to need in order to build this card. You're going to need a base color of cardstock measuring 9 inches by 7.5 inches. You'll need a color of cardstock to act as the mat, and that will be 8 3/4 inches by 3.5 inches. Designer series paper measuring 8.5 inches by 3 1/4 inches. Another piece of your base color measuring 6 3/8 inch by 2 inches, and a piece of vanilla cardstock measuring 6 1/8 inch by 1 3/4 inch. For the insert on the inside, you'll need a piece of cardstock measuring 8 3/4 inch by 3.5 inches. For the inside mechanisms, you're going to need 2 strips of your base color, which are cut at 5 inches by 3/4 inch. And then for your pop-up portions, for my decorative piece, I have 2 pieces of the color that coordinate with the front mat, and those are each measuring 1 7/8 inch by 1 inch. And then I have a scrap piece of the base color and a scrap piece of the vanilla. I just want these pieces to be large enough so that when I use the stitched square dies, that I can get 2 out of each one of those pieces. Now it's time to do some scoring. So I'm going to take the base piece of cardstock and I'm going to be scoring it at 3 3/4 inch. I'm lining up the short end of the cardstock at the top, and I'm going to 3 3/4. I'll then score all the way across the paper. For the 2 strips of paper that are acting as the mechanism, I'm going to score these each at 2 inches, at 1 inch, and then I'm going to flip the paper over and I'm going to score it at 1 inch. I'll go through that again. So I'm scoring at 2 inches, sliding it over to 1 inch, scoring again, and then flip the paper over, line it up again at 1 inch, and score. That's it for the scoring. I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish these pieces. I'll speed this portion up. I'm now going to go ahead and attach my designer series paper to the mat. I'll do that using snail glue. Then I'll attach this portion to the front of the card, like this. I'll also take the insert and I'll glue that on the inside flap right here. I've now attached the designer series paper, the mat, to the cardstock, and then on the inside I have the insert attached. I'm now going to get ready and stamp the image and the sentiment on the front piece here of Very Vanilla, and I'll go ahead and stamp the images that I'm going to use for the pop-ups. I've gone ahead and stamped the images that I want for the pop-up portions on the inside of the card, and I've cut those out using the stitched square die. I've also cut out the base color that will act to mat these 2 pieces out of the next size up of the stitched squares, and then I've stamped the images I want for the front. At this point, I'll assemble all the pieces for the inside pop-ups. I'll color this portion of the card and I'll place this on the mat for the front. The pop-up pieces for the inside are assembled and ready to get attached to the card. I've gone ahead and colored the image for the front, and attached some embellishments. These are the enamel dots. This I've also placed some dimensionals on the back in preparation for attaching to the front, though I'm not going to do that just yet. At this point, I want to attach the mechanisms for the inside pieces. Now I'm ready to attach these strips that act as the mechanism for the card. You'll notice that I've also stamped some images on the inside of the card. If you want any images on the inside, it's best to do it now before you attach the mechanism. Now, to make sure that these strips are attached exactly where I want them, I decided that I wanted the inside edge to be lined up at 2.5 inches for each one. So I took my ruler and lining it up on the left side, I made a little mark at 2.5 inches. Because I want this piece also to be 2.5 inches from this edge, lining it up on the inside edge of the mechanism, I took my ruler, placed it so that 2.5 was at the edge of the vanilla paper, and I made a mark at the 0 line. Now what I'm going to do is put glue on here and on here. Note that for this mechanism, you've got one side that has one fold, and on the other side there's two. The side that has the one fold is the side that we're going to work with first. I now have some snail glue attached here, and I'm going to place my two pieces down on my cardstock. It up like this, and I'm going to close my card. The card is then going to attach to where I have that glue. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, lining up the mechanism. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I have the glue facing upward. I'm lining up the mechanism with a little pencil mark that I made right there, and I'm going to close the card. I'll just press there to make sure that the glue is attached. So now at this point, I've got a little bit of extra glue there. So at this point, I'm now going to fold those flaps down, and I'm going to put some snail glue here on this flap and here on this flap, at which point then I'll fold those pieces in flat. So I'll go ahead and do that. Now the glue has been attached to this flap and this flap. So now I'm just going to simply fold that portion in and attach it to the card. I'll do the same on both sides. You'll see now when I close the card that those pieces fold. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach these little pieces to the front. I want to make sure that I have a tiny little space at the top here. It just allows for the card to open and close it more easily. So I'll go ahead, I'll attach some glue on here, and then I'll attach this piece. I'll do the same on both. You can see here now, those two pieces have been attached, and when you open the card, those pieces pop up. I would recommend that when you attach these two pieces, these two strips, that you push the edge a little closer. The inside mechanism now has been attached, and those pieces that act as the pop-ups are all in place. Now I'm going to close the card, and I'll go ahead and attach this front portion. Remember, I have dimensionals on the back. And here's the finished card. I hope you liked the card, and thank you for watching today. If you did like the card, please remember to give it a... So here we have the finished card. I also made another version for a birthday card using the Birthday Bakery stamp set. I hope you liked this tutorial. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. See you next time.